Hi, so I wanted to put together a tutorial for folks who maybe just bought some mascara products and maybe you've gotten them, maybe you haven't. If you haven't yet, I'm really excited for when you do. And I want to send this tutorial along so that when you do receive them, I can help you apply the products correctly. So I'm just going to go through and do kind of a basic highlight and contour so that you can see how to apply the products, and you can refer back to this video at any time that you need, or please reach out to me if you have any questions about what you got and how to apply it. So I'm going to start with, for me, I'm going to do a little bit of color correcting in under eyes, and I'll do some additional videos for you guys on if you want to learn a little bit more about that. So I'm just going to go in briefly and do a little bit of that before I put my main highlight on. So I'm actually going to use a contour called Aspen. So here to do that, and I'm going to use my Best Blend Forever brush. I would have recommended probably a couple of different brushes for you guys when you got them. So I'll go through and share the brushes that I'm using. If you have them, great. If you don't have them, please reach out if you have any questions about what kind of tools to use for your mascara products. So I'm going to go ahead and use the small end of my brush and just get some of that contour on. And I'm just going to dab it over my age spot here. And I'm going to put it in areas of redness around my nose, like this. And if you aren't doing this step, we'll just go ahead and get to the main highlight. I would have recommended two highlights for you, a brightener and an accent highlight. So once we're done with our little bit of contour color correcting here, just to hide those dark circles a little bit. The contour is a little bit of a stickier product than the highlight, and it's meant to stay in place. So we want it to be that way, but you will notice a difference between putting a contour on and putting your main highlight on. So I'm just gonna get a little redness down here. So you can use your products for lots of different purposes. So this again is just covering up spots and redness. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I am going to apply my main highlight, and for me, I will do a little bit of the darker highlight. So if I recommended two colors, the darker one is your main highlight and the lighter one is going to be your brightener or your accent highlight. So we're going to start with your main highlight or your darker one. I may have recommended a couple of different brushes. We've got the 30-second hack here. It's got a pointy end that's a little bit angled, really good for reaching into the eye area and contouring on the other side. Or we also have the detailed hack, which is fantastic for contouring. The end is a little bit flatter and easier to create kind of those crisper lines and get the contour on your nose. The other brush that is really great for your main highlight is the Buffy brush. So again, it's a little bit denser. If you want more coverage, I would recommend using this brush. If you want maybe a little bit less coverage or you don't need as much, the 30-second hack would be a good brush. So I'm going to go ahead and use that today. So I'm going to just dip in, and when I say dip in, I just like tapping it because you don't need a lot of product. In fact, a lot of product can make your face look cakey and the makeup can get oily throughout the day. So a little bit goes a long way, and I'm gonna just start in kind of right up in between the eye area here, eyebrows. And I'm kind of pressing in, not pulling too much here. And I'm gonna come under the eye. Now, because I put that contour already, I don't wanna pull. I really wanna just press that in. So I'm not pulling the contour around. We want it to stay in place. So I'm gonna get the other under eye here. So again, this will be your main highlight. Now you can put it all over your face if that's the kind of coverage you want, or if you just want to cover up some of the redness, you can put it just in those areas where you feel like you need on top of the, for me, I've got the color correcting that I already did with the Aspen contour. All right, now I'm gonna come over here by this age spot here, and because again I have contour, I'm just gonna press my main highlight in. I'm gonna get the other side here. So you can actually use the brushes in a variety of ways, which is what I love. So just depending on the brush that you have, you can use it for contouring, you can use it for your main highlights, you can use it for the blush and bronzer. And I'm just gonna come up along the chin here. I'm kind of skipping this area because I'm gonna put contour there, and I don't really need extra coverage in that spot. And I did the same thing on my forehead. All right. So that was my main highlight, the darker of the two colors. And that was on top of the color correcting. Okay. So I'm actually going to take the same brush and I'm going to use my contour now. For me, I'm going to use the contour indigo today. So I would have, again, recommended a contour color. And I'm going to kind of just squeeze this end of the 30-second hack brush to create a little bit of a thinner line. And same thing with this, I'm just going to dab straight in. I don't need to swipe. I don't want a lot of product. And I'm just going to place that along the forehead here. So remember, contouring is creating shadows on your face. Okay, and I'll blend that in a little bit more. So I'm just kind of placing it right now. And I'm going to do the same thing, get a little more product, and I'm going to put along my cheekbone. You can see that shadow right there. We're just going to emphasize that. Stippling in. Okay, don't go past your eyebrow here. So everybody's face is, you know, different shaped. So use that as the guideline where you're going to follow just hugging your cheekbone and not going past your eyebrow. So, all right. So I'm creating a little bit of the darker shadow in the hairline, and then it'll lighten up as we go kind of down the face. All right. So I'm going to get the other side. Don't be afraid of a dark contour. I thought when I first tried indigo it would be way too dark for me, but it really adds some nice color to my face. So I've tried a couple of different contours and I kind of like all of the ones I've tried for different reasons. So, okay, great. Now I'm just gonna do a little bit of contouring here because I have a little bit of a wider jaw. So I just wanna create a little bit of extra shadow here and slim it down. So you can contour your whole jaw or you can just hit spots here, but you're gonna run that just under, not on the jaw, just under and pull down. This just kind of helps slim up. So you'll learn as you use your products that there's lots of little tips and tricks that I'll continue to share with you on how to use them in a variety of ways. So, okay. Now I am gonna use my detailed hack brush. That's this one here. And I'm gonna use the small end to do a little contouring on my nose. If you don't, again, if you don't have these brushes, you could use your finger, just real light line. And you want to pretend like there's something thin. You can even hold up a pencil or something like that if that helps. We're gonna run the contour just up in these areas here. So it's not on the side of your nose, and it's not in the middle. So we're gonna add our accent highlight in the middle. So it's kind of right along the edges. So you can use, I'll use my finger on one side and the brush on the other. So I'm just gonna use my finger. You can use your pencil and run that right up. Just to about, I kind of do just about the corner of my eye. So you can see just a little bit of that contour, and we'll blend that out a little bit. All right, now I'm gonna Do the same thing with the smaller end of the detailed hack brush. So again, I'll hold this up. So if you want just kind of a little bit of a reference, here we go. We're just gonna follow that along. Just like that. So you can do it either way. All right. So next thing we're gonna do is gonna use your accent highlight. So that would have been the brighter color that I would have recommended. For me, I'm gonna use Candlelit, and I'm gonna come in with I'm gonna use my Buffy brush. I'm gonna use the small end of my Buffy brush. And again, I'm just gonna tap that in. And if all you have is a 30-second hack brush, then just go ahead and use the same tip that you use for your main highlight. So that's totally fine. If you don't have any of our brushes, I would highly recommend them. But you can always put it on with your finger and then blend with any brush that you have. But I'm gonna go ahead and use my Buffy brush. And the highlighting just creates a little bit of extra brightness right around the eye area. So we're gonna put it just under the eye and we're gonna pat it in. Don't need to swirl it around. And you're gonna put it in like a triangular shape here. Just like that. You can already see the brightness that adds. Okay, so I'm gonna go in. You know what, I'll go in, I'm gonna do this with I'll pat it in with my finger, put it on with my finger. You can see here, you can see the brighter color here. So you can pat it in with your finger and, use whatever brush you have. Again, I've got the Buffy brush here that I can then kind of smooth that out, kind of going along in that same triangular shape right here. So now you can also do just a little bit on your chin to bring brightness there and right in between your eyebrows. And then I'm gonna use my finger and just run it up the center of my nose. And we're just creating highlights to the shadows. So now you can do the blending on the nose a couple different ways. You can just use your fingers, and the heat from your fingers, just tapping, will kind of meld those together. I'm not trying to cross the shadow into the highlight and vice versa. I just want to blur the line a little bit. So, or the other option is you could use a brush like the B Squared, which is a blush and bronzer brush, and use the fluffy end and just kind of tap that down the nose here. So, so there, we've got our main highlight on. So I'm gonna just blend up my contour a little bit here. Just like that. Blend up when you put your contour, just kind of come and you can use little swirly motions, but you always want to blend that contour up and not pull shadows down your face. Okay. There we go. All right, so now if you have one of our lip and cheek colors, I'm gonna go ahead and put on one of the lip and cheeks. You can do this a whole bunch of different ways. You can use your finger, you can use this blush and bronzer brush, you could use the bigger end of your Buffy brush, so whatever brush you have, even your 30-second hack brush, you can use the end that I contoured with, you can use that to place blush as well. So sometimes one of the easiest things to do is just to start with your finger, and I'm going to use Black Cherry. I'm just going to tap my finger in and just going to place some color along my cheek. Now you can see it's above the contour line. So we are going to kind of meld those together, but they don't necessarily need to, totally overlap. Okay, so now I'm going to use my blush and bronzer brush, and I'm going to just kind of gently swirl that back. I'm going to try that fluffier end. That works pretty well. And I'm just making kind of swirling soft motions, just like that. So you can blend as much or as basically as little as you want. So however much color you want. Now I feel like I could use just a little bit more right in this area. So I'm going to use the dome end of this brush and I'll just tap that in. There we go. And you could also do it this way and just kind of blend that out back. Okay. All right, so there we go. So if you have a bronzer, I'll put just a little bit of bronzer on. If you purchase the, you know, 2 accent highlights, a contour and a lip and cheek, and say a quad, maybe you're done with your look. Maybe you want to put some eyeshadow on and you're not going to use bronzer or illuminator or any of those other things that you can put on your face. But I'm going to show you just some of the additional aspects of what those bring, so that if you decide you do want to try them down the road, again, you'll have a tool to reference and a video to reference as to how to properly apply those. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Cayman bronzer. So we've got a cream bronzer and a powder bronzer. They're both great. I like using the fluffy end of the B² brush for the Cayman or the powder bronzer. So I'm just going to kind of pick that up. Your bronzer is going to go where the, well, basically where you get sunburnt, so where the sun hits your face. So so for me, it's on my cheeks. I'm just gonna kind of swirl that in. And the bronzer adds a nice warm glow. Contours are cool in shadows, bronzers are warm. I always get sunburnt up here, always. And I even use a face lotion with SPF in it, so I still get sunburned up there. So you can see I'm kind of working in the space in between the contour and the highlight. So, and chin, and usually my nose will get a little sunburnt, so we'll just put a little glow in there. If you want a little bit of a stronger look, I would recommend the cream bronzer, and I'll just maybe show you on my forehead, because you can see the powder is pretty light, and you can build coverage of this makeup, so you could kind of continue to add layers on. But the powder bronzer here is just a little bit stronger. The pigment is just a little bit stronger. So, and that's called the Bella bronzer. So if you got either the Bella or the Cayman bronzer, this would be the way to apply. Or if you're interested down the road and just wasn't sure kind of what it offered to you, it's kind of a good way to give it a try. So there's some warmth and glow. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to use my illuminator. And I also have my perfector sponge. This is really important if you haven't gotten it. This is a really great way to set your makeup, to pull off some additional product, because if you have too much product on your face, it's going to get crepey under the eyes or could look a little bit cakey. So if you need some help kind of troubleshooting, or you're running into some of those issues, chances are you're using too much product. If you feel like your pores look big, or you notice a lot of texture in your skin, then you're using too light of a color. So you want to shade down. So maybe go to the darker highlight that you've gotten. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just use this kind of all over my face. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of illuminator on one side with my sponge, and I'll do the other side with my fingers, so you can kind of see some different options there. So what you want to do is get this wet, run it under cold water, and just kind of keep squeezing it until it doubles in size. And then once it does, it'll be really soft and squishy. Squeeze it out really well, and I would recommend even taking a paper towel or just a hand towel or something like that and putting it in there and squeezing it one more time, because you just want it to be damp. You don't want it to be wet. So all I'm going to do with this is dab it all over. So, and this will help, like I said, set your makeup and pick up any extra product. I'll use my pointy end for under the eyes. If you have older eyes, mature skin like I do, spend a little extra time under here, because that's where it can sometimes look crepey or textured. So I usually try to spend a little bit of time working on that under eye area here. So just get a little closer here. There we go. All right. So I'm actually going to take the same damp perfector sponge, and I'm going to use the rose gold illuminator. We've got lots of great illuminators, but I'm going to use the rose gold today here, which is a cream illuminator. We do have powder ones. The powder ones are a little bit stronger pigmentation right out of the gate, whereas the cream is a little more subtle. So if you're just kind of wondering what the difference is. So I'm actually going to take this perfector sponge and just kind of swipe so that I've got some illuminator product, and I'm just going to dab it up along the top of the cheekbone, and that just creates a little bit of glow there. So it's just catching the light. All right, so now if you don't have a perfector sponge, but you have the illuminator, or you want to give this a try, you can also use your finger, and we're going to do the same thing. And you can see, I'm going to blend it a little bit more, but you can see that nice glow that you're going to get by doing this. Now, if you want, you could put a little bit under your eyebrows here. Kind of depends on the shape of your eye. If you're really deep set eyes, you probably don't want to put it up there because it'll make them look even deeper. So I have a hooded eye, which means like when I have my eye open, you kind of get this little hood. So, and I'll do a little bit more of the eyeshadow tutorials here that you guys can reference. So, but for me, I can put just a little bit under here, just like that. Again, to catch light, because I have a hooded eye, not necessarily deep set eyes. I'll do the same here. Okay. And then even just up along, up along the nose and kind of in the bow of your lips here. Okay. There, so that is my illuminator. If you've gotten the stay spray, you can go ahead and spritz your stay spray kind of all over your face. And the last thing I'm going to show you is the powder. If you're new to mascara makeup, because it's a cream based, it's going to give you that really nice glow, which we love. But if you're used to more traditional foundations, you may feel like you're looking oily, or don't like the T-zone area here, just having like maybe too much of a glow. So we do have some pressed powders that you can use. So I would recommend maybe trying that or using that for the first couple of weeks that you're getting used to your mascara makeup. And then, you know, if you feel like, wow, I really love this glow look, you don't need to use it at all. And if you want to keep using it, that's no problem at all. So I'm going to use it's Vanilla Dust setting powder. Gotta get the right compact open here. So, okay. So here's just a couple lipid cheeks. Here's the pressed powder, and this is the Pearl Illuminator, which I could have used. Now, again, with your pressed powder, you could do this a couple of different ways. So I have the Power Powder brush, and you can use either the angled bristle end and kind of dab in there, and you can get it right under your eyes. You really want to just press that in. So see here, I must have had a little blush on this end, but look, I can already just blend it out, so no biggie. Or you can use the flat, kind of this flat angled end, and again, just you're gonna press that in. You're not pulling, you're not swiping, you're pressing in the area that you want it. If you have a favorite powder already, like a loose powder, you can go ahead and put that on. Sometimes the loose powder will like mute your makeup a little bit. So you can just, once you put it on, and maybe use you can use a bigger, fluffier brush to kind of set it all over once you put it on your face. You can always go back and just highlight the cheeks a little bit more with some of the blush or your lip and cheek color. So I'm just going to put this around my T-zone, again, just kind of setting it, and just a little under the chin. If I get oily, these are the areas I get oily in. Okay, so there you go. And I will use my Power Powder, or I'm sorry, my B-squared brush, and I'm just use the big end to kind of just get that blended in. So, okay, great. So then the last thing I'm going to do is just want to add a little lip color. So I'm actually going to use the same color that I put on my cheeks, which is black cherry. You can do this a couple different ways. If you have our multitasker brush, you can use that. And I'll show you guys here to just kind of put that on. Now, if you're a lip liner person, you can use our contours to line your lips. I don't really use lip liner a whole lot, so, but I could do that, and I will show you guys what that would look like. So I'm going to use the Aspen contour, and I'm going to go ahead and, so it's really subtle. Now, if you want to change the shape of your lip a little, you know, if you have like a smaller upper lip, you can kind of use that contour to help you do that. Okay. So there, it's subtle, but it just helps define the lips. I could even come in along the bottom and do the same. And then the other great way to apply the lip and cheeks is, of course, to just use your finger. So you can do the same here. So I'll show you guys that. Just like that. Okay. And you are set. So if you have any questions about your makeup, please reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. Otherwise, I hope this video helps you apply the products that you got. And again, thank you for making the purchase. And I'm going to be doing additional tutorials. I'll do one separate with the eyes and the eyebrows. We'll talk a little bit more about color correcting and dark circles in a separate video as well, but I really just wanted to give you the basics, the foundation of applying your mascara makeup. So you guys have a great day.